What's going on, guys? This is Raph from Between Two Forks back again this week with a brand new video. I'm actually trying to post this tomorrow, so I'll be posting two videos this week. The other video is talking about the new direction that we're going to try to head in 2020. So if you haven't checked it out, please do, and I hope you guys like where we're heading with the channel. Now, since we're still in 2019, we're going to be doing a knife video. No, this is not an unbox. No, this is not a review. This is a shopping guide. Since we're smack dead in the middle of holiday season, I gotta tell you guys, I hate holiday shopping. I really do. It is so stressful. Oh no, gonna have to bleep that out. First minute, can't cuss. I hate it. I really do hate holiday shopping, but if you're here on my channel, you're probably here because of knife reviews. And so I wanted to put together a short, shopping guide for you guys if you guys are shopping for a new chef knife for a loved one. I need to fold this up one more. Look at that. Now we're even. So this is going to be a quick shopping guide for a new chef knife. Now, this is not a comprehensive guide by any means, and I need to say this up front because of all this crazy new FTC rule. I'm not getting paid to recommend any of these products. I mean, any of them, okay? I don't get paid by any of the companies that I recommend here in this video. I might have some affiliate links down below, but that's with Amazon, and with those affiliate links, only like this small of a percentage even comes to us as a commission, and that commission will just help me support my channel, and it will be greatly appreciated. Of course it will be greatly appreciated. So anyhow, I don't get paid by any of these companies, because if they do pay me, I'd be driving a nicer car. I'm just putting that out there, okay? So I'm not getting paid by them to recommend their product to you guys. Any of these products that I recommend will definitely be something that I will use on my own, and things that I don't recommend are shit that I would not use for my daily use. Okay, so with all that being said, if you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, it'll mean the world to me, and let's get started on this chef knife shopping guide. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started on this quick down and dirty knife shopping guide for the holidays. As you can see, it's actually been several days since I came back to film this video. That's why, hence the outfit change, and also it's a little bit more festive in here. I got a wreath going, I got my little vintage fucking Christmas tree thing right here. So anyway, before we get started, I have to get something out of the way. There are a lot of people constantly on my channel saying, hey, what about Wusthof? What about Wusthof? And if you're thinking about getting a Wusthof during this holiday season, I'm not telling you not to go buy one, but here's the reason, and hopefully a compelling reason for you guys to maybe think about different options, okay? I've actually had two different clips that I had previously recorded, and they sounded so freaking harsh that I'm just kind of like, let's not be a dick and be a little nicer during the holiday season. Let's spread some holiday cheers instead. So here's the reason why I would stray away from a Wusthof or think of different options. It's because, not that they're not good knives, I just think that they're very, very much overpriced. A basic 8-inch Wusthof right now, I think the Classic or the Icon, are both going for like $140. Okay? That's quite a bit of money for a knife. And for like the same kind of material and similar heat treatment process that are treated to pretty much the same Rockwell hardness, you can find one from Kang Sheng for like $40. Their V2 series are $40. You can get 3 Kang Sheng knives, okay, for the price of one Wusthof. And you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference between the two knives, if at all, other than looking at it and saying, oh, here's a Wusthof, here's a Kang Sheng. And no, I'm not getting paid by Kang Sheng. Excuse me, guys. No, I'm not getting paid by King Shane to say this shit. Okay, I don't get paid by any of the companies that I'm going to recommend, like I said before. Okay, so that's just one of the reasons why I stray away from wood stops, is because I think they're overpriced. Okay, so now let's go ahead and now that I have that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on the actual list here, because I'm ADD as fuck and my mind goes all over the place. That's why it's taken me 2 fucking days to record this video, because I keep straying from the list. So, first thing we have to decide when you're going to go shop for a chef knife is your budget. Alright? Is it $10, $20, $50, $100, $300, $200? Sky's the fucking limit. I don't know. It's your budget. So establish your budget and try to stick to it. And if sky's the limit, hey, I can use a new chef knife on the wall. So I'm just saying, I can use a new chef knife on the wall. Maybe you can get me one too. So establish your budget and be realistic about your budget. And what I mean by being realistic about a budget is a chef knife is one of the most essential pieces of tool that you have in your kitchen. Or for if you're shopping it for someone else, it's still one of the most essential pieces of equipment inside your kitchen. And if you're shopping for someone and you're trying to think of a chef knife to buy them, they obviously like to cook. So that being said, being realistic about your budget, meaning if you're going to bitch and moan about a $50 chef knife, but you spend $200 every weekend to go out drinking and having fun, then prioritize. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go have fun. Absolutely, go have fun. Go do your thing. I'm not judging you for that. Just make sure you be safe. Okay, just make sure you be safe. But you can literally dial back just one weekend and have a much nicer budget on that chef knife. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and I'm not saying that you have to spend a ton of money for a good chef knife, but like I said, prioritize. All right. So now that you have your budget established, the next thing you want to talk about is the profile of your knife. Okay, do you like to rock a lot when you cut? Do you like to? Are you more of a slicer? Are you more of a chopper? Everyone has their different style of cooking and their different styles of cooking, and so you have to pick out a profile that's going to fit your personal preference or whoever you're shopping for. Now let's talk a little bit about the first one. Will be a German profile. A German profile has a much more pronounced belly on the knife, so it's much better for rocking. All right, so that's number one. You have your classic French profile, which is this guy right here. This is a carbon steel vintage knife that I bought. Has a much flatter profile, and it is much better for slicing and for chopping. Okay. And now the next one you have here is this Misen. Okay. This Misen is what they considered a more hybrid profile. So Misen says that this is a Japanese/Western hybrid profile, which you can kind of see a resemblance a Japanese Gyoto a little bit. A Gyoto is just the Japanese word for Western chef knife. So this is kind of like a hybrid profile. Really, really like this profile. And then also another profile that I really like is, of course, this Thomas Keller profile. Not only do you have to think about the blade profile, but you also have to think about the ergonomics of the handle. Like the ergonomics for, this Thomas Keller knife is super, super comfortable. It, takes a little bit of strain off your wrist because it has kind of like a curvature to it, which you can also see in the Bob Kramer line of knives, that it has a very, very pronounced curve at the top of the knife, which makes it very, very comfortable to cut with. Now that you have decided on which profile that you want, let's talk a little bit, I guess, about what kind of material that you're going to want to look at. Now, for most of the German knives, like the Wursthoffs and Zwillings and things like that, they use a steel called the X50 CRMOV15 steel, which is the very, very baseline for good quality steel for a chef knife. That I consider that a baseline. So most of your German steels are going to be the X50 CRM or V15 steel. And when you want to talk about material, you also have to talk about it being, you know, marketing terms that you see get thrown around a lot is, what is a high carbon steel? Okay, a high carbon steel meaning how much carbon content is in this steel. Now the X50 CRM or V15 steel has about 0.45 to 0.5% of the total mass of the steel that is consistent of carbon. Okay, now the higher the carbon, the harder the blade can be heat treated to, and the harder the blade, the sharper the blade can be. But also, with that being said, the higher the carbon content and the higher, you know, the Rockwell hardness of a knife, the more likely that it is going to be more brittle, meaning it can chip, it can crack. So with things like Japanese knives, for example, it requires a lot more maintenance and the user being more cautious, because if you accidentally hit a bone with a, you know, high Rockwell hardness Japanese knife, it can very easily chip it. And when you chip a knife, it kind of chips away at you, you know. Not to throw a pun in there, but it'll piss you off. And you know, if you spend a lot of money on a knife, it hurts, you know, when you chip a knife. So, and it's just a pain in the ass to try to fix a chip in a knife. It really is. So high carbon is what you will want. And like I said, the German steel is a very, very baseline steel. There are much better steels out there that for the price you can get. So I hate to keep going back to the Wurstoff because it seems like I'm picking on them. I'm really trying not to, but I know that a lot of people use that as kind of like their benchmark, going Wurstoff this, Wurstoff that. Okay, but with the Wurstoff being like $140 for just a basic 8-inch chef knife, your globals are $120. Fantastic knives, you know, and they're only at $120. And if I have to pick, I gotta tell you, I will pick the global over Wurstoff any day. It has, you know, with higher carbon content, I forgot to mention, you have a more, how do I say it? It becomes a stronger steel. When it becomes a stronger steel, it also has a better edge retention capability. When it has better edge retention capability, meaning it will not dull as fast, and you will not have to sharpen the knife as often. Okay, it stays sharp for a lot longer. So global for the $120 range, fantastic knife as well. Okay, and then if you're going to spend $100, $200, you know, there are a ton of options there, just a ton. Okay, Dahlstrongs, Shuns, you know. My go-to would be, of course, this Thomas Keller knife. Fantastic knife, like honestly, for the price, I mean, this is such a good knife. I know it's a $200 knife. You can find this one at Williams-Sonoma, but it is a first generation powdered steel, and it is extremely, extremely sharp. When I say powdered steel, meaning, God, I don't want to dig too much into this, but powdered steel, you can get a much finer edge with powdered steel, meaning it does not have the weakness of like a really hard Japanese blade. It's much more rigid, but it can also take an edge like crazy, because the grain, being powdered steel, the grain of the steel is so fine that you can really, it can, like this, the knife can really take a very fine edge on it. Or, of course, $200, you can also go with the stainless steel Bob Kramer's Willing knife. Also a really, really nice knife. I'm still wanting to buy one for myself. Okay, so that's a really nice knife too. Alright guys, I actually almost did forget one thing on the list. I totally looked over it, and it is the blade material portion of it, which there are two really big, let me slow down. There are really like two big types of steel when it comes to blade steels, okay? It is stainless steel and carbon steel, okay? If you want just a really, really quick overview, stainless steel, much easier to maintain, okay? Super easy to maintain. And then you have carbon steel. Carbon steel is not stainless, is not rust resistant. It takes a little bit more maintenance from the user, but throughout time, it develops a gorgeous patina. So any knives that you see, excuse me, any knives that you see that has almost like this kind of like dirty-ish look to it are usually carbon steel. And I really, really love carbon steel knives because of the characteristic that it develops throughout time. And also carbon steel has a very, very good capability of taking on a very fine edge. And that's why a lot of people swear by carbon steel. I do too. But I also know that stainless steel has, like the technology for stainless steel has come a long way, especially with powdered steels, that they can take an edge that are just as fine as carbon steel. So that's something that you have to decide for you or whoever that you're buying a knife for, as whether or not you want to go stainless, where it stays nice and shiny and it takes a lot less maintenance, or you know, don't mind the extra maintenance and you like the patinaing of the knife, then you can go with carbon steel as well. So that's it. Now, how sharp, Rockwell hardness, brittleness, I kind of already went through that throughout the video. But another thing that you also have to think about when picking a knife is how easy is it to sharpen. Okay, when you go with a really nice Japanese knife, Japanese knives tend to have offset grinds on the edge of their knives, so, or the bevel of their knives, and they're not sharpened evenly on, like the angles are not evenly sharpened on both sides. They tend to have like a 70-30, you know, offset. And for people that are beginners or just, you know, just regular home cooks, you probably don't even think about that. You know, you probably didn't even know about it. So it's just a much more difficult blade to sharpen for beginners. I personally like to sharpen my knives because a lot of people have asked me before, how do you sharpen your knives? I definitely recommend against the knife sharpeners with the 2 wheels in it. Those things ruin knives. I hate them. You know, before I even got, you know, all nerdy about knives, I tried to sharpen one on one of those little wheelie sharpeners, and it completely just ruined my knife. And so anyhow, without again going too far off tangent, I prefer whetstones. So I have 2 whetstones that I use, 1,000 and 6,000 grit whetstone, and then I strop it on a raw piece of leather, and it creates a razor sharp edge, and that's my preferred method of sharpening. And I will actually be making a video of me sharpening if you guys would be interested in seeing that. Also, someone requested that, like, hey, how do you sharpen your knives? So I'll make a video about it. Going back to the list, channeling back in, material, how easy is it to sharpen, brittleness, covered it, easy to sharpen, how good is it to stay sharp. Oh, so I will link down below. It's going to be some Amazon links down below that are affiliate links. And with affiliate links, like, if you guys don't know what they are, a very, very small portion of the proceed or whatever you spend there comes to me to help me support my channel. So if you click the link down below, a small portion of it comes to us to help support all this shit. But if not, you don't want to click it, that's all good too. I'm not asking you to click it. You are a free person. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Now, I think that kind of covers like what to generally look for. Actually, sorry, I almost forgot. I can't believe I didn't put this on the list. The tang of the knife. Alright? Usually, a more well-made knife is always going to have a full tang. And you can see that this is a completely full tang knife right here. The blade, the metal of the blade runs all the way through the handle. And that just creates a much more rigid blade. I've had, you know, cheaper blades that are not full tang, they're just half tang, and it's just a small piece of metal, you know, being embedded into like a plastic handle, and sometimes they rust out inside and they'll break off, and you know, your knife is a goner. So pick a full tang knife. That's always a good way to do it. And how excuse me, how easy the knife being able to sharpen Sorry guys, I have my Instapot going in the back because I am hungry. The bolster of the knife. The bolster of the knife is around this area right here. Sometimes, you know, I'll pull a picture up. I'll link a picture in the video, so that way you see what a full bolster is. A full bolster a lot of times really gets in the way, especially if you're a whetstone sharpener like myself. It really gets in the way of you sharpening the knife. And you know what? I actually have a full bolster knife right here. Jesus, my mind is all over the place. As you can see here, this is a very vintage knife that I picked up as well. This used to be what looks to be a sabatier, and a lot of sabatiers have a full bolster on the knife, as you can see here. And this bolster kept the knife from sharpening, so it has that, you know, weird dip right by the bolster because you just can't sharpen that area, you know, without actually grinding it off. So it creates a really weird spot on the knife that, you know, just kind of, it's a spot that you can't even really cut on. So I really don't like full bolster knives. I like knives with no bolster. And I think that kind of wraps up the video. I hope this came in handy for you guys for your holiday shopping. This is going to get posted tomorrow, and tomorrow is exactly a week away from Christmas. So happy holidays, guys, and happy shopping, and don't hurt anybody while shopping. See you next week. Bye.